Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Talking the news with Noah on 77 WABC.
Good morning. It is Liz Rattoballi, not Noam Laden, here on this Thursday, May 8th. Good morning. Before we get into the top stories of the day, your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Today, scattered light rain with a high of 70. Tonight and overnight, heavy rain, some thunderstorms with a low of 58. Tomorrow, more showers. Temperatures drop. High of 59. And then looking into the weekend, Saturday going to be sunny with a high of 70. Sunday, same, sun out with a high of 74. If you're heading out the door right now over in New Brunswick, 55 and cloudy. Out on Long Island, Smithtown, 56 and mostly cloudy. And up in Carmel, it's going to be 55, partly cloudy. Right outside our Midtown studios, 58 and scattered clouds. Now, starting off with your top 5 stories today.
The top 5 at 5.
Protesters are taking over Columbia's library. The Cardinals enter day 2 of the Papal Conclave. President Donald Trump names a new Surgeon General. DMVs may still be chaotic, but airports running smooth with new Real ID rules. And Disney is heading to Abu Dhabi. So starting off with the big story today, more protests at Columbia University as students prepared for their final season. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators stormed Columbia University's Butler Library, and the images show about half a dozen security guards lining up opposite a much larger group of protesters there. Speaking on NBC News yesterday evening, Mayor Eric Adams called the protesters' behavior unacceptable and said the administration has been in touch with university officials.
And NYPD is on its way. And I want to say to parents, if your children are on the Columbia campus and participating in this, I think you should reach out to them. This is not what you do on a college campus, particularly going inside a library and protesting in this manner. We are in engagement with the college. They have asked for our help, and NYPD is en route.
In a statement issued soon after the library takeover began, Columbia's Office of Public Affairs said the school's public safety team had responded, but the demonstrators have all refused to identify themselves, which would lead to their arrest. And 75 students in total were zip-tied and escorted off the campus by police. The school has been on alert since rumors circulated last month that protesters were planning on reestablishing the campus tent encampments that were taking over the Ivy League school campus for much of last spring. Columbia also engaged in negotiations with the Trump White House, who threatened to pull $400 million in federal grants if the elite school didn't do more to curb acts of anti-Semitism on campus. In March, the university agreed to many of those demands, and leading to 36 campus security guards making arrests, installing new leadership overseeing the Middle East, South Asian, and African Studies Department and Center for Palestine Studies. They also banned mask wearing by students engaged in violating any school policy. The school also announced this past Tuesday it would slash around 180 staff positions, mainly those involved in academic research. Over in Rome, it was black smoke coming from the plume atop the Sistine Chapel. That means no pope was chosen after the first round of ballots at the Papal Conclave. 133 red-robed cardinals from around the world taking part in that storied tradition with the doors sealed behind them. The cardinal electors, or cardinals under 80, will be barred from leaving or having any contact with the outside world. The Vatican government said that the access to any telecommunication signals for those involved, they went dark around 9 a.m. yesterday morning. David Gibson, the director for the Center on Religion Religion and Culture at Fordham University, says it's unclear what kind of Pope Francis' successor will be.
Pope Francis really set Catholicism on a new course. Are we going to maintain that course, or are we going to retrench somehow?
The electors will vote until they select the next leader of the world's 1.4 billion Catholics. That will be announced with white smoke coming from the Apostolic Palace. Soon after, the new pope will emerge onto the balcony to greet the faithful. Many Catholics in New York City and beyond joined in prayer yesterday, seeking divine guidance for the cardinals at the conclave. A special mass was held in Queens. New York's Timothy Dolan must isolate himself in the Sistine Chapel along with the conclave.
So, folks, I won't be able to talk to you until you see the white smoke. I look forward to doing that. Keep us in your prayers.
The cardinal electors resume voting this morning. From now on, they'll have to vote 4 times a day until a candidate for the papacy achieves a 2/3 majority with a break for a day of prayer. That's if no pope is elected after 3 days. Notre Dame history professor Kathleen Cummings says the new pope will need to be able to bridge divisions within the church.
What Pope Francis did in emphasizing mercy, in terms of emphasizing meeting people where they are, listening to what is needed among the people of God, that defies labels of traditional versus progressive.
Religion News Service senior analyst Father Tom Rees says the new pope will likely continue on the course set by Pope Francis.
Are we going to have a pope who gets up and says, Francis was a disaster, we need to go back to the old church? I don't think that's going to happen.
Rome buzzing with anticipation of this moment. The Via di Conciliazione leading to St. Peter's Square is packed. It's full of pilgrims, journalists, and of course cardinals and curious onlookers who have come to Vatican City to observe what they can of the secret conclave. Now that first day of conclave has concluded, this morning they'll celebrate Mass and meet again in the Sistine Chapel to vote. Once again, they'll vote twice this morning and then twice in the afternoon in the following days. The first vote this morning around 3:30 saw a black plume once again. There'll be another update around 6:30 this morning. WABC Radio will have the latest, so stay here. No conclave has gone more than 5 days in over 100 years. The late Pope Francis, he was elected after 5 ballots over 2 days in 2013, and the last 2 papal conclaves, a pope was chosen on the second day, so this may be it. Back to the top stories. Dr. Casey Means is being nominated for the position of Surgeon General. This comes following President Donald Trump pulling the nomination for Dr. Jeanette Nashwaat. Means, a Stanford-educated doctor, co-authored a book on metabolic health with her brother. She's been a prominent voice in the Make America Healthy Again movement. Casey has impeccable MAHA credentials and will work closely with our wonderful Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., to ensure a successful implementation of our agenda in order to reverse the chronic disease epidemic and ensure great health in the future for all Americans. That was President Trump in his announcement on Truth Social. Last year, Means was one of the speakers at a highly publicized roundtable on American health and nutrition hosted by U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, featuring Secretary Kennedy, Commissioner of Food and Drugs Dr. Marty McCary, along with other known allies of the Trump administration's MAHA agenda. Means focuses on nutrition to restore metabolic function as a means of preventing chronic disease.
Path out will be a renewed respect for the miracle of life and a renewed respect for nature.
She has been highly critical of the medical establishment, aiming criticisms even at her own alum, Stanford University.
It's not an overstatement to say that I learned virtually nothing at Stanford Medical School about the tens of thousands of scientific papers that elucidate these root causes of why American health is plummeting and how environmental factors are causing it. For instance, in medical school, I did not learn that for each additional serving of ultra-processed food we eat, early mortality increases by 18%. This now makes up 67% of the foods our kids are eating. I took 0 nutrition courses in medical school.
Means, who graduated from Stanford Medical School with her Doctor of Medicine in 2014, she left her residency at Oregon Health and Science University in her 5th year to, quote, focus on the real root causes of why Americans are so sick.
I didn't learn that if we address these root causes that all lead to metabolic dysfunction and help patients change their food and lifestyle patterns with united, strong voice, we could reverse the chronic disease crisis in America, save millions of lives and trillions of dollars in healthcare costs per year. Instead, doctors are learning that the body is 100 separate parts, and we learn how to drug, we learn how to cut, and we learn how to bill.
Trump's former pick, Nishawat, a family doctor and former Fox News contributor, was scheduled to appear before the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, or HELP Committee for her confirmation hearing today. She was blasted by Trump supporters for shortly after being nominated for past comments about the COVID-19 pandemic, including praising Meta founder Mark Zuckerberg for censoring individuals who question vaccine effectiveness and support of mask mandates. Real ID identity card requirements for air travel began, and many still don't have it in New Jersey and New York. This woman from LaGuardia Airport spoke.
I don't have it. I went to get it, but I couldn't. So I'm traveling with my passport.
Adam Stahl with the TSA is encouraging people to get their Real ID.
So Real ID was a law that was passed 20 years ago, caused from 9/11. And so this is really about identity and document integrity, and we're really focused on that.
The TSA says state-issued driver's license and IDs that are not Real ID compliant will no longer be accepted as valid forms of ID at airports. Folks without a Real ID will still be able to fly, but will have to go through additional security screening. Stats show New Jersey only has a 19% Real ID compliance rate. New York, a bit better at 45%, but still not more than half. It's unclear at what point folks without a Real ID will be able to fly. And I'm just now realizing at the news desk I missed my appointment yesterday to get my Real ID card. Well, gotta look into the DMV for appointments or New Jersey motor vehicle. New renderings are showing what looks to be a crystal castle at Disney Abu Dhabi. Speaking to CNBC, CEO Bob Iger emphasized that the choice to expand into the United Arab Emirates was the result of a detailed evaluation of regional demand and long-term opportunity.
This, in many respects, is the UAE is the crossroads of the world. About 500 million people that are income qualified, meaning they can afford to visit one of our parks, live within a 4-hour plane trip here. And about 120 million people will actually come through Dubai and Abu Dhabi this year. And it's estimated that 39 million people will visit Abu Dhabi by 2030. So when we say crossroads, I think we really mean it.
So pointing out that hundreds of millions of people across the Middle East, Africa, and Asia are qualified to visit but face long and expensive travel to reach Disney's existing parks. The Abu Dhabi resort addresses that gap by bringing Disney experiences closer to those audiences. This would be the 7th location and first in the Middle East. The park would be situated on Yas Island, already a notable leisure destination in the UAE, including prominent attractions such as Ferrari World, Warner Brothers World, and SeaWorld Abu Dhabi. But there is no date set for the opening, location raising some eyebrows among Disney fans. Even though the partner company Moral dubs itself as progressive, Human Rights Watch has flagged activities by the UAE, including the imprisonment of academics, activists, and members of the LGBT community. 77 WABC News Time is 5:15. Time to head over to the sports desk with Justin Ellick. Good morning, Justin.
Good morning, Liz. Thank you very much. We'll start here on the hardwood out in Boston. Almost really a carbon copy to the ending of Game 1 here since overtime. The Knicks once again found a way to pull off the unlikely last night. Mikal Bridges sealed another 20-point comeback with his second straight game-ending steal, and the Knicks stunned the Celtics, winning 91-90 for a 2-0 lead in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Jalen Brunson scored 17 points for New York and made 2 free throws with 12.7 seconds left for that 91-90 91-90 lead. Jason Tatum then couldn't get to the rim, and Bridges moved in to bat the ball away and recover it. Bridges also scored all of his 14 points in the fourth quarter. Josh Hart had 23 points, and Karl-Anthony Towns finished with 21 points and 17 rebounds for the Knicks, who will host Game 3 come Saturday back home at the Garden. Teams that win the first two games of a best-of-7 series on the road win the series 85.7% of the time. Knicks fans getting very, very excited going into Game 3. To the MLB in the Bronx, pinch hitter J.C. Escarra came through with a sacrifice fly in the 10th inning, and the Yankees held hitless into the 7th, rallied past the San Diego Padres 4-3 to take the three-game set. Cody Bellinger homered with one out in the 7th for New York's first hit off Padres starter Dylan Cease, who exited moments later with a cramp in his right forearm. Max Fried tossed 7 splendid innings in a pitcher's duel with Cease before San Diego scored twice against the Yankees bullpen to build a 3-1 lead in the 8th. Pinch hitter Trent Grisham tied it with a 2-run homer in the bottom half after Oswaldo Cabrera drew a leadoff walk. It was Grisham's 10th home run, already eclipsing last year's total. Up next for the Yankees, an off day today before visiting the Athletics in Sacramento over the weekend. In Arizona, Juan Soto homered in consecutive at-bats. Kodai Senga overcame early control problems to pitch 6 scoreless innings, and the Mets beat the Arizona Diamondbacks 7-1. Soto hit a solo homer off Merrill Kelly in the 7th and added another off Jalen Beeks in the 8th, his 7th of the season. He also followed Francisco Lindor's 2-run double in the 9th with a sacrifice fly to put New York up 7-1. Senga allowed 2 hits, struck out 4, and walked 5, all in the first 3 innings to lower his ERA to 1.16. First baseman Pete Alonso went 0 for 5, though, ending his streak of reaching base at 18 straight games. Coming up next for the Mets, an off day today before welcoming in the Chicago Cubs. Some offseason movement as well here. Lastly, in the NFL, the Cowboys search for a number 2 wide receiver opposite Pro Bowler CeeDee Lamb has landed them George Pickens. The Cowboys and Steelers agreed to a trade yesterday that will send Pickens to Dallas for a 2026 third-round pick. Cowboys will also send a 2027 fifth-round pick to the Steelers and get back a 2027 sixth-round pick. That is your sports, Liz, and I'm Justin Alec on 77 WABC.
New details in the helicopter crash that killed a family and a pilot in the Hudson River are coming out from last month. The National Transportation Safety Board said in a preliminary report the chopper erupted with loud bangs before breaking apart into 3 separate pieces. The wreckage of the Bell 206 chopper plummeted into the Hudson River just 17 minutes after it departed. The NTSB says it's yet to reveal the conclusive cause of this crash, with officials saying the case remains under investigation. The NTSB also found the pilot, Sean Johnson, had just come back from a 10-day break before that trip. Johnson had more than 790 hours of flight experience. He would typically fly for 10 days and then take 10 days off. That's not an uncommon schedule for pilots. The helicopter also appeared to have all its inspections up to date, with the chopper only logging 50 hours since its last check in late February. The helicopter took off from Manhattan's downtown Skyport on April 10th with Siemens executive Agustin Escobar and his wife, along with 3 young children, ages 10, 8, and 4. New York helicopter CEO Michael Roth has said he has no clue why the chopper malfunctioned and crashed mid-flight. The company has since shuttered. And speaking of flights, dozens of flight cancellations and delays once again being reported at one of the nation's busiest airports. Correspondent Tom Costello says from Newark Liberty International Airport, people continue to grapple with staffing shortages and equipment issues.
Current air traffic controller tells me, in fact, last week when they lost both radios and radars all at once, that was not the first time. It happened 2 other times just since August, and on at least 8 to 9 occasions, they lost all radios.
Costello says the headaches continue at Newport.
Here at Newark Airport, where we've had significant arrival delays for the last few weeks because of an air traffic control staffing shortage, we expect more delays today, and that according to the FAA.
Travelers also weighing in.
I guess they just have to hire more people, right? Maybe pay them better, give them more incentives.
Slightly, just more or less of safety, but otherwise than that, I think they're doing a fine job with what they have.
They need to work it out. Air travel's so essential for so many reasons.
And travelers are also saying they're pretty aware of all the delays that are coming at Newark Airport, and they pretty much know what they're in for if they're flying into or out of Newark.
Yeah, but we're not going to talk about those because we don't want to jinx ourselves.
Yeah, a lot of delays. But so far, we haven't gotten an email stating that our flight will be delayed or canceled. So far, we're okay. So we're keeping our fingers crossed.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says he's planning to build a brand new air traffic control system, which would include the introduction of new telecommunication technology, radar infrastructure, and new controllers. He says the full overhaul plan will be announced today. And so far, according to FlightAware, the tracker site for airports, total delays at Newark already at 10, and cancellations are at 37 so far today. Atlantic City police are going to be cracking down on those smoking on the boardwalk this summer season. Smoking cigarettes and marijuana is illegal on the popular boardwalk. Captain Kevin Fair says residents and visitors have complained.
We are listening to and hearing the concerns of the residents and the visitors in terms of the smoking. They don't want to see it. They don't want to smell it. So we're going to address it.
These folks have been frequently smelling smoke on the boardwalk.
Just the smell of pot.
A drastically increase on marijuana smell and cigarette smoking. Seems to be more open as time goes on.
More police will be stationed on the boardwalk looking for any smokers, thanks to grant money from the New Jersey Casino Reinvestment Development Authority. Atlantic City is home to the most cannabis dispensaries in the Garden State. More on New Jersey. NJ Transit announced it's reached a tentative agreement with its largest union, the Amalgamated Transit Union. But a possible strike next week by locomotive engineers still looms because they're in a different union and voted down NJ Transit's contract offer. The ATU represents 5,500 bus drivers, mechanics, rail operators, and support staff. Negotiations between BLET, the Locomotive Engineers Union, and NJ Transit are still ongoing as they try to avoid a strike. The state-owned public transit company released a contingency plan that depends heavily on extra park and ride bus services. It's so close, a state trooper almost admitted a reported shooting was all a sham, but the plea deal fell through thanks to another admission in court. 27-year-old Thomas Macia told a judge he was not in good mental health moments before he was expected to plead guilty to charges connected to allegedly lying about being shot in the leg. Macia had been expected to admit he lied about being shot during a traffic stop and pled guilty to 3 charges: tampering with evidence, official misconduct, and falsely reporting an incident. Judge Robert Bogle opted to postpone the plea agreement to May 21st after revealing that he signed court documents that morning as Trooper Macia instead of Thomas, taking it as a sign that Macia was indeed not doing so well mentally. He noted that even small details like that could raise red flags when someone's competency is in question. The judge, just out of an abundance of caution, wants to make sure that his guilty plea is knowing and voluntary. That's according to attorney Jeffrey Lichman. Lichman explained his client was not aware of the consequences of his statements, but said he was honest to the judge about struggling with his mental health. Macia has been receiving mental health treatment since the staged shooting, according to his attorney. He and his parents, Dorothy and Thomas Sr., all wore green clothing in support of Mental Health Awareness Month. All 3 declined to comment on their way out of court. This all began late October 30th on the Southern State Parkway in West Hempstead. Macia claimed he was shot in the leg during a traffic stop, prompting a massive manhunt, but investigators quickly turned their suspicions on Macia himself. The now former trooper may have staged the shooting for sympathy or even to win the attention of a love interest, officials said when he was charged back in January. First Lady Melania Trump is helping to unveil a postage stamp honoring late former First Lady Barbara Bush. The First Lady will host a ceremony at the White House featuring the first look at the U.S. Postal Service stamp dedicated to the wife of late former President George H.W. Bush. Attendees are expected to include friends and family, the Postmaster General, and the George and Barbara Bush Foundation CEO. The former First Lady died in 2018 at the age of 92. A 50-year-old Soviet probe meant for Venus is expected to crash back into the Earth soon. Cosmos 482 probe was launched back in 1972. It malfunctioned and has been stuck in Earth's orbit ever since. The dead spacecraft, which is around the size of a car, was built to survive the hottest planet in our solar system and might survive re-entry into Earth. Scientists say the chance it hits a person is about 1 in 10,000. It's on track for re-entry sometime this week. 77 WABC News Time is 5:30. More headlines when we get back on the 5 o'clock hour here on 77 WABC.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Sponsored by Secure Cash, LLC. Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Well, it is Liz Rattoballi here on the 5 o'clock news hour, filling in for Noam Layden this Thursday, May 8th. Good morning. And before we dive back into the news, your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Today, it's going to be some scattered light rain with a high of 70. Tonight and overnight, heavy rain with a low of 58. Tomorrow, more showers. Temperatures take a fall, high of 59. And looking into the weekend, sun comes out, temperatures spike. Saturday, it's going to be sunny with a high of 70, and Sunday, sunny with a high of 74 for Mother's Day. If you're leaving right now over in New Brunswick, 56 and partly cloudy. Out on Long Island, Smithtown, 56 and mostly cloudy. And up in Carmel, it's going to be right now 56 and partly cloudy as well. Right now, 58 and some clouds outside our Midtown studios. In some national news, President Donald Trump expected to announce a trade deal with the United Kingdom. That's according to multiple reports which indicate the announcement will come sometime today. This after President Trump said he'll announce a major trade deal in a post on Truth Social last night. Trump said he'll hold a news conference in the Oval Office, closing the post by saying the deal is the first of many. The expected deal comes amid economic uncertainty caused by global tariffs recently announced from the Trump White House. More from the White House. President Donald Trump wants the fighting between India and Pakistan to end.
I want to see them work it out. I want to see them stop. And hopefully they can stop now. They've gone tit for tat.
Speaking from the White House, Trump said the United States has great relations with both countries, and he'll step in to help if that's needed.
We get along with both the countries very well, good relationships with both, and I want to see it stop. And if I can do anything to help, I will be there.
Tensions between the neighboring countries intensified, this coming after India's military launched strikes against Pakistan in response to a militant attack in Kashmir last month. President Donald Trump says May 8th will now be celebrated as World War II Victory Day in the United States. He announced yesterday he signed a proclamation designating today as Victory Day.
So with this proclamation, we are hereby honoring the incredible sacrifice and heroism of millions of Americans who served in World War II.
Trump said the United States needs to take credit for its achievements.
All Americans should take pride in what these incredible patriots have achieved. So I just want to say happy Victory Day to all.
And the United States will mark a Victory Day for both World War I and World War II now.
In the future, we're going to have a major celebration of each day. We're not going to have days off because we don't have enough days in the year. We have too many celebrations already. But we're going to have Victory Day and for World War I, World War II.
So you heard him. That does not mean a day off of work. He noted he saw other countries such as France preparing to celebrate Victory Day this week and felt the United States should do the same. Trump added World War I Victory Day will be celebrated in November in addition to Veterans Day. President Donald Trump says he might rename the Persian Gulf during his upcoming visit to the Middle East.
I'll have to make a decision.
Trump spoke to reporters about his scheduled trip to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. He was asked about recent reports that he was going to rename the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Gulf. The name of the Gulf has been long a source of tension between the Arab states and Iran. And Trump said he doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but he will be taking a look at the issue.
I don't know if feelings are going to be hurt. Why have a case right over here? It's called Gulf of America. And I guess a lot of people get ideas from us.
Saudi Arabia and other Arab states have commonly called it the Arabian Gulf. Iran's foreign minister, however, says the proposed name change is politically motivated and is intended to anger Iranians all over the world and agitate them. In some more national news, a federal judge is warning the Trump administration that a reported plan to send some illegal immigrants to Libya would, quote, clearly violate an earlier order banning the act. Multiple outlets reported Tuesday that the Trump White House was preparing to deport people to Libya. In a social media post, Libya's Government of National Unity said it's not working with the United States on deportations, and it rejects the use of the country as a destination without its knowledge or consent. Last month, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the United States was working on finding other countries to take in illegal immigrants. Different areas of Libya are governed by two rival governments, with both releasing statements yesterday saying they would reject any deportation flights from the United States. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy set to announce his plan today for overhauling the nation's air traffic control system. This comes amid continuing delays at Newark Liberty International Airport, resulting from communication blackouts and a shortage of air traffic controllers. And so far yesterday, the total so far today of cancellations already at 37. Duffy has ordered glimpses of the plan, offered up glimpses of the plan, saying in recent interviews the system would have a new telecom communication system, new radars, and new infrastructure. Last week, air traffic control screens at Newark went dark for 30 seconds, cutting off all communication between airplanes and controllers. Duffy blamed that outage on a frail system. Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn and Democratic Senator Peter Welch introducing a bill aimed at boosting rideshare passenger safety and privacy. The Safe and Private Rides Act would require transportation network companies to alert any passengers if their driver is using a video recording device in their car. The senators argue a lack of transparency could violate privacy, and should the bill pass, riders would be given the option to opt out of using a driver with a dash cam. The bill would also empower the Federal Trade Commission to enforce the transparency requirements. The Federal Reserve is leaving interest rates unchanged. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell spoke after the announcement.
Squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people.
Powell said there's a lot of positivity around the economy right now.
Despite heightened uncertainty, the economy is still in a solid position. The unemployment rate remains low, and the labor market is at or near maximum employment.
Powell, however, said the future does remain uncertain.
Inflation has come down a great deal, but has been running somewhat above our 2% longer-run objective.
It comes as recent economic reports have sent mixed signals on the state of the economy. Inflation still remains above the central bank's target of 2%. It's also as tariffs implemented by the White House remain in place, including a 145% tariff against China. Speaking of China, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and trade negotiator Jamieson Greer will meet with Chinese officials this weekend in Switzerland. Bessent suggested the talks could pave the way for more discussion of the ongoing trade war between the U.S. and China.
My sense is that this will be about de-escalation, not about the big trade deal, but we've got to de-escalate before we can move forward.
Bessent says tariffs shouldn't be seen as a long-term solution.
This isn't sustainable, as I said before, especially on the Chinese side. And, 145%, 125% is the equivalent of an embargo. We don't want to decouple. What we want is fair trade.
News of the meeting announced late on Tuesday sent the stock's futures higher. CEO of Mattel says the 145% tariffs on China will likely affect the cost of toys here in the United States. CEO Ynon Kreiss tells CNBC the toy maker is looking to reduce its reliance on Chinese manufacturing and looking at other sources, but that may not be enough in the short term.
Where necessary, we will be taking a pricing action in the U.S.
Kreiss tells CNBC that all the creative in Mattel's toy making is done right here in the United States.
Design, development, product engineering, brand management, all happens in America. Making product, producing product in other countries allows us to create quality product at affordable price points.
Kreiss tells CNBC that the impact of the tariffs will not force the company to exclusive manufacture toys here in the United States.
We believe that production in other countries where we can be efficient and more productive is the best balance between manufacturing in international outside of the U.S. and continue to develop product in terms of design and creativity in America.
Kreiss says Mattel currently sources product from a combination of different owned factories and third-party vendors in 7 other countries. He says China represents less than 20% of U.S. imports, and that is expected to be reduced by 15% by next year and less than 10% by 2027. A Kentucky mom is getting her money back after her 8-year-old son ordered 70,000 lollipops on Amazon. Holly Lefevre says her son ordered 30 cases of Dum Dums while playing on her phone. She was charged $4,200 for that purchase. She posted photos of the lollipops on her front porch. She has reported that Amazon was refunding her the money and bank was waiving any fees. 77 WABC News time is 5:45. Time to head over to the sports desk with Justin Alec. Good morning, Justin.
Good morning, Liz. Thank you very much. We'll start here in Boston. The Knicks once again found a way to pull off the unlikely last night. Mikal Bridges sealed another 20-point comeback with his second straight game-ending steal. And the Knicks stunned the Celtics, winning 91-90 for a 2-0 series lead in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Jalen Brunson scored 17 points for New York and made 2 free throws with 12.7 seconds left for that 91-90 lead. Jason Tatum then couldn't get to the rim, and Bridges moved in to bat the ball away and recover it. Bridges also scored all of his 14 points in the fourth quarter. Josh Hart had 23 points, and Karl Anthony Towns finished with 21 points and 17 rebounds for the Knicks, who will host Game 3 on Saturday back at the Garden. Teams that win the first 2 games of a best-of-7 series on the road win the series 85.7% of the time. To the diamond in the Bronx, pinch hitter J.C. Escarra came through with a sacrifice fly in the 10th inning, and the Yankees held hitless into the 7th, rallied past the San Diego Padres 4-3 to take the 3-game series. Cody Bellinger homered with 1 out in the 7th for New York's first hit off Padres starter Dylan Cease, who exited moments later with a cramp in his right forearm. Max Fried tossed 7 splendid innings in a pitcher's duel with Cease before San Diego scored twice against the Yankees bullpen to build a 3-1 lead in the 8th. Pinch hitter Trent Grisham tied it with a 2-run homer in the bottom half after Oswaldo Cabrera drew a leadoff walk. It was Grisham's 10th home run, already eclipsing his total from last year. Up next for the Yankees, an off day today before visiting the Athletics over the weekend in Arizona. Juan Soto homered in consecutive at-bats. Kodai Senga overcame early control problems to pitch 6 scoreless innings, and the Mets beat the Arizona Diamondbacks 7-1. Soto hit a solo homer off Merrill Kelly in the 7th and added another off Jalen Beeks in the 8th, his 7th of the season. He also followed Francisco Lindor's 2-run double in the 9th with a sacrifice fly to put New York up 7-1. Senga allowed 2 hits, struck out 4, and walked 5, all in the first 3 innings. To lower his ERA to 1.16. First baseman Pete Alonso went over 5, though, ending his streak of reaching base at 18 straight games. Coming up next for the Mets, an off day today before welcoming in the Chicago Cubs over the weekend, and some movement in the offseason for the NFL. The Dallas Cowboys search for a number 2 wide receiver opposite Pro Bowler CeeDee Lamb has landed them George Pickens. Cowboys and Pittsburgh Steelers agreed to a trade yesterday that will send Pickens to Dallas for a 2026 third-round pick. Cowboys will also send a 2027 fifth-round pick to the Steelers and get back a 2027 sixth-round pick. That is your sports, Liz. And I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
Shifting back to some more local news, Mayor Eric Adams is addressing an attack on NYPD officers in Times Square, allegedly by a group of teen gang members. He told NBC4 lawmakers have to do something about repeat offenders and clarified the role of law enforcement.
The last quarter, the lowest number of shooters in recorded history. Do we have these high-profile cases with 8.5 million people? Yes. What you expect from the police department is to make apprehension. We did it immediately. A large number of gang members who not only assaulted police officers but carried out about 20 robberies in this city. Repeated offenders, some of them were arrested 8 and 9 times. We're doing our job, and that is apprehend, keep the peace. Now it's time for the other part of the criminal justice system to do their job. Lawmakers, judges, making sure we don't have these repeat offenders coming on our streets.
2 cops were attacked by members of the Trende Aragua gang. It happened on Friday. That's according to Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, who says the officers were trying to break up what appeared to be a wolf pack-style robbery. The officers were not seriously injured. All suspects are said to be members of the gang Los Diablos de 42 or the Little Devils of 42nd Street. 5 individuals have been arrested. 6 more are being sought out. Police are actively looking at video closely of the attack. There's a call for increased pet protections in New York City following a dog-on-dog attack on the Upper West Side. The owners of Penny, a Chihuahua, were walking her near West 85th Street and Columbus Avenue on Sunday when they say one of 2 pit bulls lunged at the smaller pup. Good Samaritans jumped in and helped the owners free Penny from the pit bull's jaws with the help of a cane. The NYPD, ASPCA, and Animal Care Centers of New York City say city law only permits them to get involved when a dog attacks a human. Council member Gail Brewer says she plans to push legislation that would allow them to intervene when a dog attacks another dog. 2 New Jersey men are being charged in last December's multi-million-dollar Rolex robbery in suburban New York. Prosecutors say Byron Wilson and Kevin Williams, both from Irvington, used sledgehammers in a smash-and-grab jewelry store robbery in Hartsdale last December while cowering customers were still inside. It happened at a luxury store in the Westchester Square shopping plaza that doesn't want to be identified. The suspects allegedly stole 70 Rolex watches, diamonds, and other jewelry worth $1.7 million. If convicted, the pair could face 20 years behind bars. NYPD cops are searching for the men who have robbed a Bronx grandmother twice in the last 5 months. Noam Layden has more.
The latest holdup took place Monday as the grandmother was taking out the trash in Castle Hill. The men got away with $50,000 in jewels. Here's a family member.
We have lost more than $100,000 in less than 1 year. We are very afraid of our life.
The grandmother who works in the jewelry business was held up 5 months ago of $50,000 in jewels, and she and her family worry about what might happen next.
They have taken basically all our savings, all our money is gone right now. We are unsafe. We feel unsafe right now.
Cops may have a hard time tracking down the muggers because they were dressed in black hoodies and were wearing face masks. Noam Layden, WABC News.
In some health news, the CDC is reporting 216 pediatric flu deaths, with 25 of those happening here in New York. State Health Commissioner Dr. James McDonald says the highest number ever recorded in the Empire State. Dr. McDonald says 24 of the 25 children who died had not received a flu shot, with 5 children too young to get the vaccine. It's recommended for children 6 months old and up. Dr. McDonald blames misinformation for vaccine hesitancy, which has caused the country's pediatric flu shot rate to nosedive to just 49%. That's down from 64% 5 years ago. There have been 2 confirmed child flu cases in New Jersey and none in Connecticut. Governor Kathy Hochul is announcing that $120 million of her fiscal 2026 budget will go to fixing New York's broken criminal justice reform system. At an afternoon press conference yesterday here in the city, Hochul said an escalating number of violent crimes are being thrown out not on their merits, but on minor technicalities.
You can't have violent criminals or people who are offenders who hurt other human beings
be able to walk free. Statewide dismissals jumped from 10,000 in 2019 to over 50,000 in 2024.
Hochul says her budget will provide the funds to make things right.
This means prosecutors can focus where it matters, focus on the real evidence, focus on accountability, and focus on justice for victims.
Many of the crimes the governor noted are being committed by repeat offenders. Hochul says her budget fixes that and supports crime victims while paying for discovery law compliance for prosecutors and defense lawyers. A big move in a local race that's a bit a ways away. President Donald Trump issued an early endorsement of Republican Representative Mike Lawler for his re-election next year in a battleground swing district in the Hudson Valley. President Trump issued that endorsement of Mike Lawler. Lawler has been in talks to possibly be entering the governor's race in 2027. Also in the governor's race, also rumored to be in the governor's race, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who represents the more conservative 21st district in the North Country upstate. Some analysts are wondering if this move means that Stefanik will get the GOP's backing for the race against Democratic incumbent Kathy Hochul, or it could just be a push to get ahead of any midterm pushback to the policies from the White House. Trump also endorsed the re-election of GOP Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman, who is on the ballot this fall. Blakeman also may be mulling a run for governor. Lawler spokesman Ciro Riccardi, he told the New York Post Congressman Lawler is grateful for the president's support and appreciates his commitment towards addressing issues important to New York, including lifting the cap on SALT, combating anti-Semitism, securing the border, and growing the economy. As Congressman Lawler has said repeatedly, he will make a decision on running for governor in June. Lawler's seat was previously held by a Democrat, ex-Representative Sean Maloney. Lawler would be seeking a third term.